give you a bit of an overview of the system. So reverse osmosis has been around for quite a while, and even on some of the boats, if you've got water capability, you might hear the word decel. So that's an RO unit that's removing the salt at a higher pressure from an RO membrane to turn your salt water into drinkable water. So we're using an RO system here that's still operating at probably 120 to 160 PSI on average to pull all the contaminants from the water. So its main purpose and its efficiency it'll pull about 98% of the contaminants from the water. So it's that efficient where we could probably, just with a single RO filter, here where we are with 130 TDS at the tap, get spot-free windows. So I often refer to it as when we go to a car wash and you go through an automatic car wash, they wash your car with dirty water and a little bit of soap to help remove the grime. And it's only that final rinse that comes over your car at the end that's spot-free. So it's pure water. So other names for pure water are distillation, so getting water through steam, RO water, DI water, terminologies used to obtain pure water, and pure water can be used in manufacturing, final rinse or overhaul. It was primarily designed for window cleaning, but different genres these days still fail to amaze me when I get requests for pure water. When you go to a manual drive-through car wash, the selection of spot-free on that dial too will also give you that purified water. So if we can pull all the contaminants from the water and agitate and rinse, the windows will dry spot-free. So on this fantastic building, we'll be able to do the stainless steel structure, windows, Aluka bond. If you have fleet vehicles, even ferries, if the ferries are coming in and you had to do screens and stuff like that, you'd be able to clean windscreens of ferries and bits and pieces of that nature. So very versatile. We do put them on boats, big boats, so crews clean, sort of coming back in and going out with these particular systems. So we have a single operator today, which is a single hose reel. So we can run 2 hose reels, and it's 100 meters. So we might even get, with the machine set up here, we might be able to wrap around the whole building with that 100 meter setup. So on the particular system, and this is called a QuattRO, it's a 4-stage reverse osmosis unit. So we have a carbon filter which pulls organics and chlorine. The chlorine will damage the RO membrane. So if we can protect the RO membrane and get maximum life out of that filter, it'll reduce the running costs of a particular business. So the RO membrane here, we'd expect sort of in a commercial application, probably 3 to 5 years in operation. The other filters in the range, so water will come in through the water entry port. It'll go through carbon, sediment, it'll hit the RO membrane, which will do 98% of the work, and then hit the final DI polishing filter. Stainless steel construction, which matches your building here today. 240 volt power, it's only 10 amp. So if you were doing remote work and you needed to power it, a 2 kVA Jenny is a bit of an overkill, but 2 kVA Jenny will be fine. So it only pulls about 1.2 kVA to run the particular system. We have our power lead in, which is a universal connection. These sort of go all around the world, so they supply different adapter leads to suit the system. We have an hour meter on the front, so we're able to tell how many litres of water the machine's made or service intervals. Power switch, on-off switch. A pressure gauge. The pressure gauge is very important because it can tell me the pressure that the machine's operating at, but it also tells me your garden tap pressure. So I can look at the machine here and I can see we've got about 50 PSI coming in from the garden tap. So when we fire the machine up, as a general term, it punches at about 100 psi above that. So it'll operate about 150 psi internally. The bypass switch or valve on the front, and referred into the manual, which we'll send through on a PDF as well, which can be shared, is a tap which controls the water flow through and around the RO membrane. So an RO membrane is like a toilet roll. It's a mechanical filter. We get water going through it, and we also get water going around it. So as a self-clean process, the water that goes around it goes to drain. That water will be higher concentration of contaminants that is pulled from the local water supply, and that's just doing a self-clean process, and that's the way the RO filter works. So when we turn the tap in a configuration, we have garden tap pressure on. So without the QuattRO turned on, we have a water supply in at 50 psi. We have our reject water. Our reject water is the water flowing around the RO filter. So whenever the system is running, we're always going to have reject water. The reject water we can drink. If we've got 130 TDS at the tap here, we'll find the reject water might be probably around the 200, 230, 250 mark. So it's just catching all the contaminants and just flushing the filter and just dumping it to drain. So you can water the grass or let it just go down storm water. Our pure water is our working water, and that's the water that we're going to use to clean the windows. So with the bypass valve open, we're allowing maximum water around that filter, so we're going to get maximum water to reject, which is also in turn, because it's going to reject, is going to reduce our pure water. If I turn the QuattRO on, under power, we're getting maximum discharge. In the manual, it'll talk about an RO flush, and an RO flush is running the QuattRO with the power on, which is under pressure, forcing water to clean that RO filter and discharging it to the ground. So it's just a maintenance procedure to help keep that RO filter clean. When I close the bypass valve and push water through the system, we'll get a changeover in our water supply. So we'll get a decrease in reject water and an increase in our pure water, which is our working water. And with pressures like that, it'll be quite easy to run 2 poles. So with an additional hose reel, you can have 2 guys 200 meters apart cleaning windows. So the changeover in water, so we've got good water flow. And if we look at our pressure gauge, it's up around the 150 psi mark. So with connection of our, wrong way around. So connection of our pure water will go to our garden hose. Our reject water will just go to drain. So a bit of an overview. We're also here for backup and customer support, so when you've got questions about the particular system. So today we've got 3 poles. We've got a 17 foot, which is about 4.5 metre reach. We have our 45 foot, which is up over the 12 metre reach, so it's going to do this quite easily. And we've also got the little mini pole. So the mini pole will be awesome for all the glass balustrade that you have around the particular building. So water flow now is flowing through the 100 metre hose to our water fed pole. The scenario with window cleaning I often refer to is like washing a black car. You can, if you've seen a black car that hasn't been washed correctly, when it dries you can see where everyone's missed. So it's the same as cleaning a window. We need to, it's still a tool, we need to scrub the glass and then rinse the glass. The QuattRO will give you enough water coming out where you'll get to know how far you can push that before you need to do a further rinse, and the more you use it, the more you'll pick up on the tricks of the trade, and with the ability that you may not have to rinse as much as expected. The hardest windows to do, not that we have them here, but if you use this scenario until you become accustomed to it, is an old timber window. So if we talk about cleaning that where the timber's deteriorated, the silicon's deteriorated. In that case, we'd do a two-step clean. So we would clean the frame of the dirty old timber window, and we'd go next to it and do the frame of that window. When the water stops dripping from the top frame of the first window, we'd come back and we'd agitate and do all the glass. We would then, as we rinse, we would keep the water away from that top frame so that when we leave that window wet and walk away, we don't get any dribbles down that window which could cause a watermark. So if you use that scenario and philosophy on cleaning windows, that'll get you through. Commercial windows, all aluminium here, are going to be a lot easier to do. So the aluminium frames aren't going to hold dirt, but if you start with that process, you'll pick up good technique, and that's just a good philosophy moving forward. So we'll clean some windows. So to push it up a building is quite easy. There is also visual indicators, and if we pull too far, we get a paint witness mark to know that we're at the end of that section. So if ever you get yourself in a situation that you're cleaning and you're in trouble, big gust of wind or something of that nature, put the pole on the ground and just push it into the building. Take a breath and say, oh gee that was close, or something like that. So from a safety aspect, if you trip or something like that, or you got to put the pole down, but we can from a pole like this pole's 12.5 metres, so I'm not sure the incline on the beach side, but you're going to get maximum height from that pole. It is a P stands for a plus, which is a high modulus pole, so it's quite rigid, but because we don't, we've got another 3 or 4 sections to go, what we can do also to increase the rigidity even further is not hyperextend each section, which will give us that more rigidness about the pole and allow us to push even a bit harder. If there's cobwebs there, just ignore the cobwebs. The brush will pick them up, and you can just clean the brush at the end of the day. From a ergonomics perspective, like, we can use our shoulders to clean the windows, but it is quite strenuous. The poles go up to the 65 foot and there's even an 80 foot pole, but if you wanted to be more ergonomic, what we can do is dance with the pole. So we can just walk back and forth and not use our shoulders all the time. If we're doing big sheets of glass, like these big sheets here, we can angle the pole so we're slightly offset, so that when we do go up and down, it's actually going to walk along the edge of the glass. It's going to cover that section of glass rather than using our shoulders to move that pole. But it's quite lightweight. We can put some water on, and I'll give you an overview of cleaning this bit of glass here. So the poles are quite lightweight. So if there's any cobwebs up there, I can pull those cobwebs quite easily. Once I've done that top frame, it's just an agitate. I can come down. To save dropping the pole from window to window if we're doing big sheets of glass, we can do that top third of that glass and work our way down that window. In a perfect environment to do a full rinse, to save taking the weight of the pole off the glass, if we angle that pole, keep the pole brush on the glass, it's going to take the weight of the pole. So if we drop that down a bit further, in a perfect world, there's two different types of glass. There's hydrophobic and hydrophilic glass. So if we throw a bucket of water at a glass window and it beads, you need to treat each one of those beads that it might have dirt still capsulated in that bead of water. So the idea is to rinse those beads off the glass so it dries spot free. If we throw a bucket of water and the glass sheets with water, that's going to be an easier piece of glass to rinse, because it's going to rinse the whole piece of glass as we come down. You'll probably find you'll have key areas. Area like this might be a bit more protected, or an office, or not as highly used, or you'll have functions come through. Doesn't matter. You've just got to scrub the crap out of it to, yeah. Try. Well, I'll do one for you and show you how much you'll need to scrub it. Yeah.
Go all the way to the end.